G'day, it's Mr. Bennett here. Today we're going to be looking at equation of a line, which should be revision for most of you, but let's just go through what you should know, and if you don't, well, we'll need to make sure that you let us know so we can take you through that. So generally the equation of a line is in the form of y equals mx plus c. Alright, so that value there, the m value is the slope of the line, and the c value is the y-intercept. Alright, so generally if you're understanding that sort of concept, now the slope of a line is equal to the rise over the run, and we could say that's equal to the change in the y value and the change in the x value. Now, last year, I know many of you watched this thing called Slope Dude. Alright, so I'll just quickly show you a bit.
He loves to ski. We are going to follow him, and he'll teach us some important aspects of slope. This is the course he's skiing today. Again, what he says will teach us about slope. You need to remember that Slope Dude always skis toward the right or eastward. When he starts out, he's going uphill. It's hard work. He says puff, puff, positive as he goes up the mountainside. Puff, puff, positive. Puff, puff, positive. Puff, puff, positive. Now he's at the top. It was puff, puff, positive all the way up the mountain. But now he can look forward to the downhill. On the way down the mountain, he says nice, negative. Nice, negative. And now, after the downhill, he's in for the hardest part of the ski run. The long flat part. He says, this is zero fun. This is zero fun. This is zero fun. This is zero fun. And as he finishes the flat part, he doesn't see well ahead, and all of a sudden, he comes to the edge of a cliff. It's straight down. So frightened is he that he says the worst curse word possible in math and in algebra. Undefined.
So we had a look at Slope Dude. Now hopefully you've seen that before. If not, you can go to YouTube and you can watch that again. So rise over run is what we're looking at here. So if we want to find the equation of the red line over here, right, we know it's got an intercept of -2. That's where it's cutting the y-axis. And the rise over run, well, it's going across 2 and it's going at 1. So that's got a slope of a half. So therefore the equation over here, y equals mx, so the slope is going to be minus, or it's a half x. And then the y-intercept is going to be -2. So that's the equation of our line there. Now, what happens though if we don't have necessarily nice points that go through these particular things here? That's what you generally look for, is where it cuts the grid. So you can see over here. Now, if I'm looking at this one here, it does sort of have a nice point here, but not very many of them. So it cuts right on the point there, and it cuts right on the point there. So if we're looking to find the slope of this line here, we're going across how far? We're going across 3, and we're going down 5, so that's -5. So the slope of this line over here in blue is going to be -5 on 3. Okay. Now we also need to find the y-intercept as well, and we don't know what that is because it doesn't cut nicely on the thing over here. Alright, so we'll need to use some stuff obviously to try and find that. So we're going to have to do this possibly algebraic. Alright, so, and the other thing is we can find these points here. So we've got these points here. The first point there is 1, 2. This other point over here is in fact 4, -3. Alright, so if we've got our points 1, 2 and 4 and -3, we could actually do this without even graphing it as well, because we can say that our slope is in fact our change in our y over the change in our x, which is equal to y2 take y1 over x2 take x1. Now it doesn't matter which point you pick as x2 or x1, as long as you're consistent with it. So I'll obviously pick a point. So let's say Negative 3 is our y2, take away 2, and then we've got 4, take away 1, and that's going to give me minus 5 on 3. So I've now got a way of doing that without having to graph it, which is sometimes a bit tedious. If I did it the other way, if I found my slope using the other point, as long as I'm consistent with it, if I went 2, take negative 3, all over 1, take 4, right, 2 take negative 3 is going to give me 5, and that's going to give me negative 3, so it still gives me the same answer anyway. Now, to work out basically the equation of a straight line, I'm going to use this formula, which is simply going to be our y take our b value, all over our x take our a value, equals our slope, where it goes through the point AB with a slope of n. Now, it doesn't matter which point I pick. Obviously, it's going to be easier if I pick a nicer point than an unnice point, but it really won't matter. So I'm going to pick the point 1, 2. So pick the point 1, 2. The slope that we've got here is 5 on 3, and it's negative. So I'm going to put that into the formula as we see it. So it's going to be y take the b coordinate, or the y coordinate, which is 2, all over x take the x coordinate, which is 1, and that's going to be equal to minus 5 on 3. So all I need to do is now I need to solve that to get this in the form of y equals mx plus c. Now, the thing that I suggest you do is that you cross multiply. Okay, so I'm going to times that up with this term here, and then I'm going to times this up with that term up there. Okay, so I'm going to write my next line. It's going to be 3y take 2, and that's going to be equal to minus 5x take 1. So I've got to expand those out, and that will give me 3y take 6 equals minus 5x plus 5. I'm going to bring this 6 across the other side, and as you bring it across the other side, you change the sign, so it's going to become plus 6. So I'm going to get 3y equals minus 5x. That will be plus 11. 5 plus 6 is 11, and so therefore my final answer will be 3, I'd get rid of the y, so I'm going to get rid of that. So my final answer is going to be y is equal to minus 5 on 3 plus 11 on 3. Okay. Okay, so as I said before, remember it actually wasn't a nice point where it cut the x-axis. Okay, but you can see it's like, well, 11 on 3 is going to be just a little bit less than 4, isn't it? And that's where it's cutting there. So that allows me to find the exact point or the exact equation of any particular line there. Okay, so that worked nicely.